5 million population, largest city in South Africa, and the host of the first NBA Africa game as Team Africa and Team World get set to play inside of Ellis Park Arena. And here are the lineups, Doris. I know the NBA is going kind of to smaller lineups. Team Africa, we got the supersize lineup.
Well, Festus Ezeli was saying we're a little guard short. I've been watching Stephen Curry, so I'm prepared to take on that guard role. Remember, this has been secondary in nature. These two teams had about an hour shoot-around, and neither Greg Popovich nor Lionel Hollins addressed basketball at all.
And we are just about set for tip as Pau Gasol and Festus Ezeli, and it is won by Team Africa. Luc Mbah a Moute with the jam. A guy without a team scores the first 2 points because there's been buses to get from one event to the other. And as you pointed out, it's not just the Team World bus or the Team Africa bus as Jang scores on the jam. It is everybody's together. This is the first time that we have this competition. I think it did start with the Chris Paul pump of Dang at half court.
Nice little feed. We've seen Chris Paul, coaches and personnel, and it mattered not which bus you got on. It was all about the kids they were trying to help.
We have some guys also debuting their new uniforms. Nicolas Batum, Charlotte Hornets.
Think about that. For the first 7 years of his career, he was with the Portland Trailblazers, considered for such a long time untradeable.
Both guys, of course, jump center at the All-Star game in New York. And now Dang knocks down a triple. Well, I know Greg Popovich was talking about summer rules for the offense, and a three-pointer hit by Bradley last year would happen, but now having this game here, and Adam Silver even saying during the week is Dang takes it to the basket.
14 orphaned children from the continent of Africa can go. They dedicated a library and a basketball.
Minnesota last year, and only in his third year coming up, and he's starting to put on a show early.
Well, Gorgui Dieng, you think about his development, 10 and 8, and for all intents and purposes for Minnesota. You're right, taking great advantage of an opportunity.
Seems like they're trying to get him going, and Jang hits again from outside. Gorgui Dieng, part of an 8-0 run for Africa, and he's got 8 points.
Global sport and a global organization, and rightly so. And you think about the development of international influence over the court.
Moute, who just took that shot, number 12 in white, playing in a Sixers uniform, though currently without a team. It thought to be close to be with Sacramento as Ezeli picks it up in Team Africa, and Paul missing the step back there.
I'm a little surprised he didn't try to go around him. I wouldn't want that size coming at me.
There's Mbah a Moute. 10-minute quarters. Most of the NBA rules applying except for the quarter length at 10 minutes.
Marc Gasol just continues to be in great condition. Think about how much that guy has changed his body. That move.
Memphis, we know the story. He was a big guy, and he's really put himself in great shape as Beal came flying in for a dunk. There's a great no-look feed to Jeff Green he ended last season with.
I'll tell you, there's still plenty of players in the free agent pool who have some talent, as you see Fareed get out in the open floor. Hello.
Good guy.
A career 5.4 board, reserve off the bench in the post, typically adding depth. A hard worker, you know, a great guy to have. Well, when I spoke to him yesterday, he said to finally see some of the hard work we've put in Boston come to fruition, finally get that last playoff spot in the East. It gives you hope moving forward for an organization that is one of the most proud organizations. Last NBA championship, of course, Pop has 5 of them, the San Antonio Spurs 5. Boris Diaw, his insertion into the starting lineup changed the equation in that series.
Against Miami.
Yeah, he's not a guy that wants to dominate the ball, but so good to play with. If you watch any highlight tape that includes Giannis, you can see that guy in 2 strides. There he is, right in the open floor. But I've watched point line, and in 2 strides, finding himself at the rim.
I know there's a lot of people in Milwaukee as the manimal Kenneth Fareed with his second ferocious dunk.
Back in 2014, last year, tremendous strides, 12.5 points, almost 7 boards. And I'm telling you, folks, as he's in the open floor, he's just scratching the surface.
There are many kids in the audience at Ellis Park Arena and around the continent of Africa who are watching this game, and we have to make that point. Is for 13 years as Adetokunbo,
who didn't want any part of the game of basketball when he was first introduced to it. In fact, said, no, I'm engaged with soccer and team.
Fortunately, the number 3 pick last year lost all his rookie season, and it looks like he'll lose this one as well as Fareed has his 3rd ferocious dunk of the afternoon.
This for Joel Embiid. At the end of this particular 3.5 days, they organize an all-star game, which is played just prior to this game.
And then turned himself into one of the top picks in the draft, and now hoping that his body hasn't betrayed portrayed himself as Evan Turner. 6 points for the Boston Celtics.
You can see Kenneth Faried, even in this setting, he was talking about, listen, I only know how to play one way. How many times?
Well, we got a little surprise coming up here. Look who's in his classic Denver Nuggets uniform, Dikembe Mutombo. And they love it.
The dominant defensive force in the NBA for all of those years, and listen to this crowd.
Is he going to play at 49 years of age?
He looks like he's prepared in an NBA shape.
The #2 shot blocker in NBA history on the floor with Team Africa. Earning millions of his own fortune, $29 million. Here's the dream. Over Vucevic. Oh, this place would go berserk if one is hit. It's great to see. You know, this is the difference between this sport and many of the other sports at that age, to still get out there and play basketball in a competitive situation. And from Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo and all throughout the African continent.
You wonder, are they intimidated at all? Give us the dream shake.
There it is. Keem Olajuwon, a beautiful move, and the bench is going wild. Anytime you go to an all-star game, there's always a guy or a couple of guys they're going to set up, and those are the two now. Wow, how about Faried taking on both towers? I don't think anybody wants to go inside anymore with those two in there. Vucevic, consider for the NBA, Olajuwon and Mutombo, not only in uniform, but getting a good stretch run there.
I did not think, in watching Dikembe Mutombo at the timeout, he'd be
long term.
They have put themselves together, and if health holds up, of course, signing Dwayne Wade again, that will be an interesting battle with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East.
Missing, and Mutombo gets in the scorebook. And the slam dunk by Nicolas Batum. 7-0 run for Africa after Team World got within 6 points. Here's Beal, blocked by Biyombo. Quite caught up to the hype of being a top 10 selection, but now with Masai Ujiri in Toronto, hoping that maybe he can start getting on.
Well, Masai Ujiri, in the words of R.C. Company, and he actually said he may read people better than anybody in the NBA. So you wonder, sometimes it's about fit. So does Biyombo find and carve out a niche with the Toronto Raptors? We'll see.
Well, he almost had the block of the jam, but they rattled in for Green.
To give up Greg Monroe, he's such a talented guy.
Trey Burke struggling from the perimeter in the game. Adetokounmpo shoveling to Biyombo. Nice pivot and score. Bismack Biyombo. Here's Gasol pulling up from the free throw line. What an outstanding season.
League sets his all-time mark for rebounds per game, Pau Gasol. Just a truly extraordinary year, almost 12 boards.
Inbound Adetokounmpo starts the clock as he touches. Shovels it toward the rim and misses, but a 56-38 lead.
Definitely a large world view, so everything about David is a perfect match in my estimation for San Antonio.
Ever NBA Africa game. Bradley Beal might have to step up a little bit with the Wizards, a little bit of a leadership vacuum as Chris Paul hits from the perimeter.
Organization that until DeAndre Jordan re-signed, and obviously all the drama inherent in that is a nice fit. Acquiring Lance Stevenson and Paul Pierce along with Josh Smith. So the one weakness you had, that wing area, you actually do some great things. They go from an F to an A in my estimation.
Festus Ezeli with the tip jam. Paul trying to make it back-to-back threes, and he does.
As competitive as Chris Paul.
Where the Clippers tried to get DeAndre Jordan back, gave it an F grade. Will it be 3 straight threes? It is for Chris Paul, and just like that, Team World is within 11 against Doc Rivers. But it felt like, you know, in the days before, they were about to fail that test and somehow able to pull an A out by a little extra study. Like for certain have keep themselves in the Western Conference chase.
Yeah, Paul Pierce, think to what he did in Washington's run in the postseason, a guy who
healthy, hoping Serge Ibaka is back to basketball activity soon, and having Kevin Durant and the whole complement together.
Well, you know, you've got Kevin Durant, players, coaches, general managers, have traveled on 4 or 5 buses over the course of 3.5 days, conducting camps and clinics. Every word we have gotten, I spoke to Brad Stevens and to Mike Budenholzer, both of whom said these players have...
A whole NBA event and a basketball game and a live broadcast throughout the world is just a cherry on the top.
For Luol Deng, this game is personal, and he is the captain of team. Influence, in Luol Deng's words, is immeasurable. 1 month spent in Egypt with refugees from this continent, teaching them the game of basketball has reverberated in the ensuing year.
And the folks at Ellis Park Arena enjoying the array of dunks, and in the rafters hang the NBA jerseys as Vucevic, Juan, Emma Tumbo, and the late Manute Bol. All revered all across the continent of Africa. Nazr Mohammed.
Vanderbilt. And of course, in limited time, but think about his influence in Game 6, 11 points in 10 minutes in the NBA Finals. He plays over Bogut. And
outside that time, I think Tommy Amaker would have liked to have Festus Ezeli at Harvard.
I told you Antetokounmpo is a special boy. He's got 18 on the boards already. I can't imagine you want to throw a lob to, as good as Boris Diaw is, throwing a lob pass to him would not be the best option.
Here's Burke trying to decide what to do. He had Antetokounmpo on one side and Biyombo on the other, and Bismack Biyombo blocked his shot. These are guys who've largely been a part of the camps and certainly have not been at the height of their training as Aminu.
Today for the respective coaches, and I'm told neither Greg Popovich nor Lyle Mulholland in the hour shoot-around they had ever talked about the game of basketball.
Nigeria at age 14. This is the first time he is back on the continent since. So a very moving evening for Festus Ezeli, the champ, and the young Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo scoring with .2 in the quarter.
Talked about what he hoped for the future of the continent of Africa, and certainly basketball without borders. 13 straight years coming to the continent.
World in the game. Here's Burke driving against Batum and scoring. Missing there, and again, either born in Africa or at least one parent from Africa to make the Team Africa roster. And Trey Burke hitting a triple. And
he became far more aggressive as a scorer on the second unit than he would like to be, I think.
There's a jam from Green.
Gets run and tightened this game up. Chris Paul, of course, got things started with 3 straight threes, and here we are. We've got a game.
And playing some defense as well. Trey Burke leading the break. Drops it off for Turner on the reverse. 14 straight. 1 point on a free throw. So 78-76, 7:15 to go. Beal hits again, and for the first time, the world has the lead. Shaking hands. Michelle Roberts, also the president of the NBA Players Association, on the trip, and another three-pointer hit by Team World.
Champion and national champion Ruth Riley over there leading that charge.
In the midst of a 20-1 run, make it 23-1 as Bradley Beal. I think this is the NBA they see on television quite a bit.
Pace picking up, intensity picking up, and even a bit of defense. Nice crossover by Bradley in the feed to Green,
who knocks down another three-pointer. 26 points in 4 minutes and 10 seconds for the World. They were down 20, now they're up 10 points.
That changed in a hurry.
And Deng trying to get Team Africa back on the board. Hits. A little fancy now.
Well, boy, I'll tell you that Memphis would take that aggression. That's the one thing that franchise is missing still to this point. Another three.
Luol Deng, they're loving it. In
exhibition that means absolutely nothing. That the competitive juices eventually start to fire.
Wide open three. Good by Green. With the kids the other day.
Great shot of Pop playing foosball. Love it.
Jeff Green missing on the three. That's how Team World got back in this one. Biyombo beating Green down the floor on the jam. Beal missing.
You can tell Beal is feeling that jumper. He got that first one to go. He was going to test how hot he was.
Thread the needle pass inside. Diaw spinning and scoring.
Has done an outstanding job, whether in Denver or now with Toronto.
It looked like the Raptors were ready to take that next step. 2 years ago, Lowry struggled a little bit after the All-Star break. Here's Diaw. I like the Team Africa jerseys. You've got the flags of all the players as Beal slams it home to make it a 7 lead.
Well, think about how much better after the acquisition of Isaiah, Boston was at finishing games.
Yeah.
You know, he had a huge influence on that.
Paul for 3. Time for point guards in the NBA. On almost every night, you've got a great matchup.
The golden age of point guard, so to speak.
Aminu. In and out. Deng is there for the putback. Popovich's team needs to play that defense here in the final 49 seconds. But it's Adetokounmpo with the steal. And the jam. Africa down 5. Well,
no
see if they foul, if they won't foul, with time ticking down. Chris Paul working it inside half court.
Look at that handle.
Turnaround. 22 seconds to go. 2-possession game. Beal with the steal. Deng gets it back. Oh, that'd have been a big one. They need the 2 here. 10 seconds to go, and they'll get to the line. Marc Gasol fouling Bismack Biyombo. Love to see a regular season game.
I don't think you'd get any objection from any of the contingent of players from the NBA that made this trip.
And there's the foul to stop the clock with 7.1. So Greg Popovich thinking we have to at least give ourselves a chance here, right? In a 1-possession game.
Look at Antetokounmpo, a little gamesmanship with Trey Burke. Talking to him as he goes to the free throw line. If you're Team World, if he misses this free throw.
In a regular game, yes, you probably do under 5 seconds, right? Most coaches like, but he hits a big free throw there. You could look back at that 2013 draft class and maybe he should have been the #1 pick. Who would have thought? 3-pointer Aminu. Biyombo's there to guide it through with 4.6. Inbound to Green. Foul Adetokounmpo, and now Jeff Green will have to go to the line. Who made the trip? Mark Davis and Jason Phillips on the floor, and that makes it a 3-point game.
Talk of being nastier, like the Memphis Grizzlies were warm and cuddly all through the last 5 or 6 years.
2 big free throws for Jeff Green. With 3.5 seconds to go, that should about do it. We'll see if Adetokounmpo gets 3 more. He does not, but he scored 22 points. Team World with the big 4th quarter. 101-97, Doris.
Well, today was the only day where the game was the important thing. These fans treated to a spectacular exhibition, but the most important work done in the 3.5 days prior to today, the interaction between those 57 kids. You see a great hug from Greg Popovich and Chris Paul.
Boy, what a difference a couple of months makes after Chris Paul's last-second shot knocked out the Spurs. Still not done from Ellis Park Arena. Team World the win. Back in a moment.